This is the WBBM Noon Business Hour.
ESPN is reportedly looking into being the hub of all live sports streaming, even if it helps competitors. Joining us now with the details is Tim Hanlon, founder and CEO of the Vertere Group based in Chicago. Tim, thank you for joining us today. Is this just an example of perhaps evolution or consolidation in the streaming space as interest rates rise and financing dries up?
Well, I think, Rob, the concept is very similar to what we've been talking about on previous occasions. The streaming is getting complicated. Arguably, it's been that way for a while as more choices become available to consumers. And I think ESPN is pretty smartly trying to sort of figure out maybe how, in the sports realm, given so much now that streaming is part of that mix, how do they create more of a reason to make ESPN and its properties more indispensable to consumers, as they rightly could, because ESPN is a brand that is synonymous with, it's even in their tagline, the worldwide leader in sports. So it stands to reason under that brand proposition that they could be a hub and help consumers consume sports, even if it means going away from their properties. But again, there are economic benefits to it. But being a hub, being a starting point, being a first button push is not a bad strategy, even if it means pushing people away to other events that might not be on the ESPN set of properties.
Now, is this potentially a lifeline for a number of regional sports networks that were under the Sinclair umbrella that recently declared bankruptcy?
Well, I think that's a different ball of wax. I mean, I think the model of regional sports networks, Marquee included, NBC Sports Chicago included, that's all tied to the cable bundle model. And I think we've talked about that before, too. The reality is that people are subscribing less and less and maintaining those subscriptions less and less. I think what you will see is sports leagues and teams and events and properties become more directly distributed to consumers in some way, shape, or form. But regardless, this idea that ESPN has is wherever that is, let's link to it. And if we can provide a service in doing so, you conceivably will think more of ESPN as your first go-to to figure out where stuff is. And ultimately, that'll be good for ESPN, especially as they continue to grow their properties as well.
It's a little bit intimidating to watch this whole thing come together, but it's also very exciting because it really is just an age-old problem. You have a new piece of technology, relatively new, that everyone's comfortable with, and whether it's TV in the 50s or cable in the 70s, you got to find some way to fill that need and also make money off of it.
Yeah, and I think, look, it's if you want to use the old analogy, it's TV Guide all over again, right? And the idea of being able just to help people find stuff, and that's not just sports, but television programs and series and movies. It's complicated, and with more choices out there, that's going to be an important part of the mix, is to help people find what they want to watch.
Tim Hanlon, founder and CEO of the Vertere Group based in Chicago, thank you for joining us today.